The mission to free the two Michaels isn't the only issue following Justin Trudeau on the campaign trail. So is the dismissal of one of his candidates. Raj Saini, who's facing a number of misconduct allegations, has dropped out of the race. Initially, the Liberals stood by Saini, but as Abigail Bimman is here to tell us, the party ended up kicking him out. Abigail.
Robin, Justin Trudeau says Raj Saini is no longer the candidate in Kitchener Centre after, quote, new allegations came forward, but he refused to get into any specifics, including about the type of allegations.
I think everyone is frustrated, me included, certainly, that the best answers we tend to be able to give on allegations of sexual misconduct or harassment is always we followed an independent process. We're following the rules.
Trudeau said in order to respect integrity and privacy, the Liberal Party can't say even half as much as they would like. After allegations first surfaced that Saini harassed a former member of his staff, the Liberals stood behind their candidate. But Saturday announced a new review process was initiated after new information was provided to the party, and Saini will no longer run for the Liberals. Saini has firmly denied the allegations. Conservatives, meanwhile, are calling for further investigation, sending a letter to the Clerk of the House of Commons asking him to look at whether the workplace harassment policy was properly applied. Due to the timing, it's too late to change names on the ballot, meaning there's no chance the Liberals can win Kitchener Centre. Trudeau said if Saini managed to get elected, he would not be part of the Liberal caucus.
Obviously, this is a far from ideal situation that we no longer have any candidate in that riding.
In a statement, the woman who reported Saini for inappropriate workplace behaviour said people who experience questionable conduct should not feel hesitant to speak out. This culture of tolerance needs to change. I asked Trudeau whether he felt he let down either people who came forward with complaints or Liberal supporters left without a candidate, but he did not directly answer, just repeated they went through the process when they learned of allegations a year ago, and the independent conclusion at the time was they could proceed. Robin?
Abigail Bimman in Markham, Ontario. After days of questions about his party's gun policies, Conservative leader Erin O'Toole is changing his tune. He is now vowing, if elected, he'd maintain a Liberal ban on assault-style weapons. Here's Mike Le Couteur on what prompted the reversal.
For 2 days, questions about gun control have hung over Erin O'Toole like West Coast clouds. Sunday, unprompted, the Conservative leader sought to clarify his position.
The present ban on a number of other firearms that were reclassified in 2020 will remain in place.
It was a clarification, but also a reversal from what is clearly written in the platform that he proudly parades around to every event. On page 90, it says, a Conservative government will start by repealing C-71 and the May 2020 order in council. That order is better known as the Liberal ban on assault-style weapons.
We will conduct a transparent review of the firearms classification process to take the politics out of this process and engage the public in decisions with respect to public safety.
Trying to make this a ballot box question, Liberal leader Justin Trudeau started his day flanked by posters of guns that he says the Conservatives want to make legal.
Mr. O'Toole has made a secret deal with the gun lobby to reverse that ban on these assault weapons.
Mr. Trudeau claims today that you have a secret deal with the gun lobby. Do you?
We're maintaining the status quo that's in place right now.
That's not the question, sir.
What we're trying to do is to make sure that we have a process to take the politics out of this.
A senior Conservative source tells Global News it became clear the Liberals wanted to make this an issue for the entire week. So O'Toole added the explanation to his announcement at the last minute.
O'Toole's clarification comes less than a week before the next two leaders' debates. Now, that could help blunt some of the attacks from his opponents, but it could also open him up to criticism about his lack of clarity when he was first asked about the issue. Robin?
Mike Le Couteur in Vancouver. NDP leader Jagmeet Singh spent the day in Ottawa advocating for a national vaccine passport. And as Matthew Bingley explains, Singh is also calling for a rare moment of unity from his political competition.
Good to see you too. To get the country through the next phase of the pandemic, NDP leader Jagmeet Singh says Canada needs a national vaccine passport.
Why not use the resources we have at the federal level to come up with a document that makes it easy to prove, this is me, I've been vaccinated.
So far, 4 provinces either have programs in place or in development where proof of vaccination is needed to access facilities, activities, or events. Last week, Ontario's premier blamed Justin Trudeau for not creating a federal vaccine passport program, after months of saying his government didn't want one.
Imagine traveling around, even Canada, with 13 different vaccination certificates. It would have been much easier if we had one passport, federal passport.
New Brunswick doesn't have a passport system, but its premier says one may be needed for travel, while Alberta's government remains against them.
There are provinces that don't do it, but you got people that want to travel into a province that requires proof. What do then? They've got a complication. If someone wants to travel to Quebec and they've got to show proof to get into an event or to go to a restaurant, for them, it would make their life easier.
The Liberals are pitching $1 billion to help provinces develop vaccine certificate programs, but are keen to keep it out of federal hands.
First of all, movie theaters and restaurants being provincial jurisdictions is exactly why we are offering to the provinces to pay for the vaccine certification or mandate programs. Right after we announced that we were going to do that, Ontario finally stepped up and did the right thing.
No vaccine passports!
After protests over vaccine policies saw healthcare workers and patients harassed outside hospitals throughout Canada last week, the NDP leader is also proposing changes to the criminal code if he's elected.
To make it an aggravating offense, an aggravating element to in any way impede or assault or any way threaten a healthcare worker in the course of their duties. It is just not on.
Jagmeet Singh is asking the federal leaders to come together and record a nonpartisan message encouraging people to get vaccinated. So far, both the Liberal and Conservative leaders have agreed to take part. Robin.
Matt Bingley in Toronto.